everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations. You're with Simon today, and I'm super excited because I've got loads to share with you today, but also because I'm finally able to sit down and record something astrologically related and to share my insights and thoughts and understandings of what's actually transpiring for us. So the first thing that of course I want to acknowledge is that this video report is a bit delayed in the sense that I'm going to be talking about the new moon that was taking place in Aquarius, but of course that took place a couple of days ago. So this video is to talk about this lunar eclipse that has taken place in Leo, this solar eclipse that took place in Aquarius, and how the energy is going to lead up to the full moon in Virgo and this whole entire transition, because I know that a lot of people right now, not only through my own private work with all of my souls that I'm working with, but also just reading it around, that there's quite a lot of confusion, there's quite a lot of uncertainty, and yet at the same time, a deep sense of heartful knowing that whatever it is that we're dealing with right now will at some point come to some clarity. So that's what I want to talk about today. But like I said, I'm really excited because for the last 4.5 months, well, actually 2 years, but most recently for the last 4.5 months, I've been working and doing a lot of research into how to create a platform that can allow what I want to nurture, cultivate, and bring to the world can be sustained, that can be interacted with, that can be allow me to have the creative freedom to explore what it is that I want to explore. And so, like I said, and I've been mentioning this just recently, that my Patreon page and my Patreon project, as I like to call it, is finally launched. I launched it today. So what I want to encourage everybody to do once you've watched this video is to go and click on the link in the description as well as the comments below and go and check it out. And, you know, watch the introduction video, read what I've got to say over there, see what type of, what type of tier you would like to interact with. And, you know, I really would appreciate, or not would, I will really appreciate your interaction with what that's about. And so I'm super excited about that, and I wanted to share that with you. And I'll remind you a little bit later at the end of this video what that's all about. Okay, so let's have a look at this this astrology at the moment. What you're looking at right now is actually the full moon that's taking place in Virgo, and that's not what's supposed to be there. So give me a moment to change that. There we go. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is the solar eclipse, and that happened in Aquarius. Okay, and you can see that there's quite a lot of planets. There's the South Node, which is not really a planet in Aquarius, 14 degrees. You can see that Mercury's there, the moon, and of course the sun. All right, now as of today's recording, the sun is in Pisces, and the moon is at 27 degrees Aries. Okay, and this was recorded on the 20th of February. So that obviously that chart is moving, since that day. So what is this all about, right? What is actually transpiring for us? What I also want to pay attention to is that Venus, that is next to Neptune in Pisces, the Mars, that's at 12 degrees Sagittarius, or was at 12 degrees Sagittarius, the Saturn in Capricorn, and the Pluto in Capricorn, right? So the totality of this chart. And then, of course, Jupiter in Scorpio. Now, Jupiter's making a square to the Sun. It was making a square to the Sun. It was making a square to the Moon and Mercury. All right, Jupiter and Scorpio are squaring Sun, Moon, Mercury and on top of the South Node as well in Aquarius. This is a really, really profound time for us to work through, okay? The context of the overall existence of human evolution right now is moving through Pluto and Capricorn, which is, here's the paradigm of existence that you, me, our parents, our children for that matter, are all kind of like under being evolved through. And this paradigm is between a shift of the old way of doing things and the old sense of identity that humanity once saw itself through, and this new emerging sense of awareness and identity that has this tone of transcendence to it, this tone of multidimensionality to it, okay? So to make it more grounded and practical in that sense, a couple of years ago, maybe let's take 15 years ago, right? Mobile telephones could not do what they could do today. And the nature of and function of mobile telephones at that point in the West, for instance, featured a very bulky carrying around type of telecommunication. And if we had to go back 30 years and 40 years, the idea of a mobile phone or smartphone or applications or fax, any of those things, sorry, not fax, but email, would have been kind of a foreign concept to us. Now, if we fast forward to today, think about how you actually go online to get your information. Think about how fast information travels between two people. Think about what platform I've created with Patreon to interact with you, who is all over the world. All right. Think about all these materializations, these manifestations. Where did they come from? Why are they here? What's the purpose of it? And 90% of the time, when we as human beings create things, we create them out of necessity. Okay. We create them out of need. So if you want to get a deeper perspective of the current energies and how this overall transition is taking place for us, think along those lines. Think along the actual nature of our interaction and what we use to interact with. Think like in Sweden, for instance, where I live, 90% of the time, if you get onto the public transport, you use your phone or you use a card. Whereas when I was staying in England, maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I could still have a coin and pay for a ticket that would be paper. Like that transition, that kind of like dynamic of interacting with the way that we as human beings have set up our structures in our lives is changing and has changed. And we're part of that change, right? And each generation, so my generation, Pluto in Libra, your generation, Pluto in Scorpio, all of these generations interacting with the different ways in which our conditioning, i.e. our time frame of when we were brought up with, is interacting with that. So Pluto in Virgos, for instance, right? Or you, the Pluto in Leos, right? Born pre-1970. How many of you knew what a telephone or a mobile telephone was? Did you need to interact with one? Did you think of the nature of Chromecast or Apple TV? Why did you need that? What was Netflix? These types of things are a very big part of this overall arcing change and how we're interfacing with it at different points in times and space. Okay. What has that got to do with this current transit of energy? Well, think about it. The Uranian energy, which is pretty much what the South Node, Mercury, and the Sun is all about in the chart, that's being ruled by Uranus and Aries. And Uranus has been transiting Aries for what? The last 6 years, right? Since 2012. So what we've been dealing with a lot has been this new direction for humanity. And Pluto has been squaring that Uranus for some time. And you've read so many articles on the internet. You've heard me speak about it multiple times, multiple videos I've created. You've listened to other astrologers talk about it as well. So this is not like a foreign concept to you. But what is interesting about this is that have we really spent the time to get into the essence of this change? Have you got into the essence of how you as a human being and your psyche has been interacting with this change? And when getting familiar with how this has been transforming in you, you can really start to get not only a deeper sense of how this astrology is moving through you, but how these energies are really, really playing a role in our lives without us needing to do anything about it. Okay. So let's go back to this whole Uranus spiel that I'm going on to, right? Or have been going on to. South Node in Aquarius, Sun in Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius, and the Moon in Aquarius, solar eclipse. So the context of this whole entire thing is that, of course, the South and North nodes have been moving through the Aquarius Leo symbolism. So the lunar eclipse in Leo brought us this darkness around what our destiny was for. We became... I know in my personal case, I would love to share it with you, but it's kind of a long story. But in my personal case, the North Node lunar eclipse in Leo brought me to not see things, not because of my own blindness, but because the actual energy itself, or the awareness around that process in itself was not available to us. It was a darkness, lunar eclipse. And so a lot of my choices from my mind were saying, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. And my soul, my inner being was going, it's just patience, just patience, just patience, just patience. Anyway, solar eclipse comes along, again, south node in Aquarius, north node in Leo, and it brings us this energy pattern of culmination, of awareness, okay? But it comes through a period of time since the lunar eclipse of complete shifting, of complete change, of complete uncertainty. So most of us kind of went through this whole entire tunnel of being shocked into traumas, being kind of dealing with multiple realities and having to face so many different dimensions, so many different uncertainties, so many different parallel realities and facing with one, and not knowing where we're actually heading or why we're heading that way. But you have to trust. You actually literally have to have faith in this process. Yet the mind will just go completely insane with this process. So the lunar eclipse helped us understand that there was a need for faith during a period of time of complete darkness. And the solar eclipse brought us illumination. It brought us that it's almost as if we arrived at the beach after being shipwrecked, right? And now we're sitting at the beach and we're like, okay, we're safe, we're on land, we can feel the security beneath our feet, but what do we do? And this is literally where this energy is right now. It's like, what do we do with this energy? How do I invest this? For me, I launched the Patreon, and now it's up to God Goddess or universe to show me what this purpose is about. To me, I felt it was a great opportunity to create evolutionary astrology teachings, to help the community really nourish their own psyche regarding wanting to learn more. But at the end of the day, it's also provided me with the context of my own soul's personal journey, which is, how do I structure this? How do I support people that want to participate in something like this, right? So there's a lot of, for me, with my Pluto being in the 10th house of the astrology chart, a lot of opportunity to nourish and grow into a role that wants to take responsibility and also nourish and cultivate communities to enrich their lives, okay? So that's where it's taking me. And what is it going to do? How is it going to help me uncover this deeper desire? What is the purpose of it? And that's the invitation here with this whole entire communication that I'm having with you, is that there's this invitation to know that the direction for where we're going is not set and it's not there, right? The only thing that you can really feel into is this part over here that says, this is inspiration, this is joy, this is resonating, this is pulling me in this direction. And I just have to allow that process to work, versus my mind saying, well, practically doesn't make sense, or, you know, how is this going to work out? Or do I have enough money for that? Or am I confident enough? You know, all these types of questions that the mind can put into us that allows us to feel doubtful about what's really inside here. And you can really, really like step into understanding that the mind itself it does not understand emotion, and it does not understand how things work on a multidimensional level. It is here and now. That's what it's here for. It's here to look at things and observe, and to like see information, and then to make certain you know, like ticks of awareness, so to speak, from our experiences. And this is a time where we need to really, and each one of us really needs to jump into this process of trusting and having faith, literally having faith, letting the mind go, allowing the heart to be the ruler of direction, and watching the story unfold for you personally. So the Aquarius energy has two folds, right? The South Node in Aquarius, North Node in Leo, lunar eclipse all happening, and solar eclipse all happening on this axis. Venus on Pisces, all about surrender, all about acceptance, all about allowance, right? All about alignment. It's all about coming into this process of dealing a lot with parts of ourselves that have been wounded and triggered and are broken, right? And that need to be kind of healed and integrated. So that will be the Aquarius, the shock, the trauma. And then there's this other aspect that allows us to feel that we also have a creativity that bursts inside of us. And this creativity wants to be expressed, wants to be explored. And so by validating that process, we feel the joy of oneness and holisticness within inside of ourselves. And so a part of that process is allowing us to follow through with what we are here to watch, here we're here to see, here we're here to witness in that sense. And the wisdom that comes with understanding that process as well, okay? The Mars in Sagittarius squaring all of this says, I'm inviting you to see questions that will allow you to trust your faith in yourself, trust your faith in what you see, and also at the same time bring you into deep awareness of direct experience, right? Directly experiencing something. The Jupiter part, this Jupiter in Scorpio making the squares to the Sun and Moon, is operating on two levels. Again, the Jupiter is saying, do you have faith to commit, or are you disempowered through your trauma? Are you disempowered through the parts of yourself that have been emotionally affected, shut down? So there's a time to break out of that process. There's a time to honor your truth. There's a time to honor your destiny and to watch it and to observe it and to see it for what it is and to allow it to unfold in a way that is organic for yourself. And organic unfolding is just like allowing what comes to you to be processed through. So a lot of this chart has been, especially for this last 2 weeks, surrender into something, following the peace, following the flow, and waiting for the scope of adjustment to take place as the lunar and solar eclipses shift our attention into a new direction. And then from now up until, and let's see if this works over here. There we go. From now up until the 2nd of March, we're going through a process in which the moon will move over Uranus, which is what's doing right now today. So Uranus, the moon hits Uranus today, and I release the patron, right? I release the idea, the intention, the seeds of growth for this community, for this garden, right? For us to interact with, to grow with, to nurture ourselves through. So it hits that. And then the moon will move through Taurus, will move through Gemini, it will oppose Mars at some point in time. So within the next maybe 3, 4, 5 days, it will oppose Mars. And of course it will make this need for, slightly being a little bit triggered, a little bit confrontational. It will pass. And then the moon will move over the North Node, and it will bring deeper awareness into validation for your creation, deeper purpose into what you're here for, self-acceptance, self-love, providing yourself with the key nutrition and love that you want for your own destiny. And then finally, it will make the moon will hit Virgo and make the, pardon me here, it will make the full moon experience. And as you can see in this chart, the sun's in Pisces, Neptune's there, the sun's in a closing phase to Neptune. Mercury is on top of that Neptune as well. Venus is there. It's about to hit Chiron and Chiron there. So there's this huge party in Pisces, and this party in Pisces is inviting what? It's inviting stepping closer to clarity. It's inviting stepping into deeper realizations that the last 2 months have been kind of this really, really crazy, awkward, weird place of what are we doing here? I feel like I'm Indiana Jones with a flashlight just about to enter a temple and go, what is this all about? To, okay, I'm starting to notice that there's a path. I'm starting to notice that there's some synchronicity to this process. I'm starting to notice that there are patterns that are evolving for me here. And if I'm paying close attention to my life, I can begin to see that these patterns are bringing me closer and closer to realizing who I am. And this is the key focus here with this full moon that's happening in Virgo on the 2nd of March. We got it. Woohoo! Thank you, mind. So this whole entire process is alignment. And it's alignment, and it's alignment, and it's alignment of clarity. It's alignment of trusting. And if there's any other time to absolutely have faith during this energy of 2018, this is one of the months that it's definitely going to be the case from now up until the 2nd of March. And then, of course, a little bit onwards because Mars is still making the squares to everything. But that square, that relationship between Pisces and Sagittarius has to do with our inner experience, Pisces, and how we directly know that inner experience, Sagittarius. That's what the square talks about, the tension between truth and reality, the tension between our perception of what we see versus the actual nature of it. And of course, Pisces doesn't have any ego attachment. So for us, it can be very difficult for us to see what is occurring for us in the moment it's only later on when we begin to observe backwards do we start to notice that there are these themes of purification that have been taking place, where we've been slowly but surely letting go of the illusion of our ego attachments, and we're becoming more and more aligned with things. So between now, which is the 20th of February, up until the 2nd of March, I encourage you to just watch your story. And of course, when things come your way and you need to interact with it, respond to it, interact with it. And notice how that there is a thread of development that is materializing for yourself. And the more you watch it, the more you allow yourself to see this process, the deeper your experience is going to become of why you are here, what you've come to learn, what you've come to understand. And a bigger part of that process is understanding your truth. Okay? So the last thing that I want to say is Jupiter's trine to Venus in Pisces, Chiron in Pisces, Mercury all over there. It is a lot of first quarter trines. So what we are dealing with here is this ability for us to express. It's this ability for us to feel confident and knowing of our path. And so this Jupiter energy, as Mars is about to leave Sagittarius, it's at 20 degrees, it's still got another 10 to go, but it's leaving it. This is where we're going to develop faith. And like I said, this is the time to develop the faith during this current alignment, and deeper layers into clarity. So you might experience this full moon as a little bit of a crisis, but you will also notice it as the crisis into alignment. Okay? So guys, that's what I have for this little forecast over here. I hope it brought some illumination for you. What I wanted to remind everybody is now, go and check out the Patreon page. In the description is a link to that, as well as in the comments below. Please share with me your thoughts on not only what we've talked about today, but your own personal experiences. I would love to hear that. And what else did I want to say? It's good to be back in terms of communicating with you. The last couple of weeks have been really internal process for me. And so it's very important for me to always check in with myself, check in with what I'm doing, check in why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, so that I can be in some level and shape or form a person that can show up and say, hey, by the way, guys, I'm also a part of this journey as well. And it's not just me standing here saying, this is what you have to do, without me feeling like I have that story as well. I've also got my own stuff that I need to work through. And it's very healthy for us to acknowledge that. Okay. All right, guys, have a fantastic week, and I hope to see you on the Patreon page. Take care. Bye-bye.